The first reason your footwork probably sucks is that you've never actually spent time working on it. You're probably spending a lot of time focusing on exactly what your racket is doing and not really thinking about the footwork side of things. And a big part of the problem has to fall with the way that coaching is done these days. There's a heavy emphasis placed on copying what the top pros are doing and not enough emphasis placed on the foundational, unsexy components like doing a good quality split step, having good footwork patterns and movement to the ball, and being set up in the right position. And those things really are the key to hitting good quality strokes. When players come into my full coaching program, they send me videos for analysis. 95% of the time, there's nothing wrong with their technique. The problem was they weren't in the right position to hit the shot, and what they were basically trying to do was impossible. And that comes down in large part to what's going on with the footwork. You need to very specifically and intentionally work on different footwork patterns, because tennis footwork's kind of unusual. Normally, if I want to go over there, I'm going to turn my head and then I'm going to look in that direction as I'm going over there. In tennis, we're doing a split step. I'm moving really quickly in this direction while I'm looking down the other end of the court. So that's something that you actually have to train your body to be able to do. And then we've got the individual steps. A split step isn't generally a natural thing to do in the format that we do it. We've then got some kind of pivot step. So either a pivot step where we're dropping the foot underneath, or a pivot step where we're stepping out. And then we've got different types of movement to the ball. We've got crossover steps, we've got shuffle steps, and then when we're in and around the ball, little stutter steps or rhythm steps to adjust our position. Those things are things that don't come naturally to most people. You have to practice them very deliberately, work on them without the ball there, achieve a certain number of repetitions, go through the phases of learning, and basically turn these different footwork steps into habits. And once they're habits, then you'll just be out on court, you'll blend them together, you'll flow, and you'll just set up in much better positions. To help you with that, I've actually created a free footwork program that's going to give you a structured way to practice all the individual steps. I'll place a link up there, and I'll place a link down in the description so you can get this free program and start working on it if you would like to. The second reason your footwork probably sucks is that you don't have the conditioning level to be able to use good footwork for the entire length of a practice session or match. Because make no mistake about it, constantly split stepping on every single ball, trying to stay on the balls of the feet, being nice and light on your toes is very physically demanding. And if your body isn't capable of doing that, that's obviously going to hold you back. Now, working on the footwork patterns themselves can be a partial strength exercise, so it can be very beneficial for this, but you might need to do a little bit of additional strength work around the outside. So I just want to really quickly show you kind of a 2 exercise program that you can do 2 to 3 times a week. And if you're not doing any of the strength training, just working on this can be a very effective way over a period of 8 to 12 weeks to get your body a little bit more capable of doing what you're trying to do. So we're going to be doing one exercise primarily for the upper legs, for the quads, the hamstrings, the glutes, the adductors, and then one exercise primarily for the lower legs, although there's a little bit of a crossover between the two. So for the upper legs, we're going to be doing lunges, but there's a few key features to the lunge that you might not have seen before. When we set up our lunge position, we're going to have our front heel off the ground. So when most people do lunges, they have the heel down, and that's okay. But in tennis, we're generally going to be spending our time on the balls of the feet, and when we're lunging, we're pushing through the balls of the feet. So we want to train ourselves to do that. So as I do the lunge, I'm going to be lowering down, keeping my heel raised just a little bit. In terms of coaching cues, notice that my posture is nice and tall, but I'm trying to take as much load as I can through this front leg, like so. I also want you to notice the speed. I'm going slowly down, and then I'm driving up quickly. And if I show you that from the front, I'm going slowly down, taking about 3-4 seconds, and then driving up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then back up. The reason I'm going at that speed is we want to train the eccentric portion of the movement. So we've got concentric, which is when the muscle's shortening. We've got eccentric, which is when the muscle is lengthening. And that eccentric portion is actually a really important feature for us to be able to quickly transfer force into the ground and help us push off. Most people just go really fast up and down when they're lifting weights, and they neglect the eccentric portion. So by focusing on it, it can be a really effective way to kind of prepare your body to withstand the loads that you need on court. So that's exercise 1. In terms of loading, about 3 sets is going to be okay. Doing 3 sets 2 to 3 times a week is going to be enough for most people. In terms of reps, you're going to be aiming for between 10 and 15 reps. So remember the speed that you're doing it. So it's 10 reps, taking about 1, 2, 3, 4, and then back up. And your goal is to progress it over the course of 8 to 12 weeks. So maybe the first time you do it, you're able to do 3 sets of 10 on either side. The next time you do it, maybe you can do 3 sets of 11. Maybe after that, you can do 3 sets of 12. By the time you can do 3 sets of 15, you probably want to think about increasing the weight. So potentially just finding something light to hold in your hands, just 5, 10-pound dumbbells if you've got them, or any other heavy object that's lying around the house, just to again gradually increase the weight over time. And then in terms of rest, the way I would do it is I would do one leg, then do the other leg, then rest for about 60 seconds and repeat. And what you might find is that one of your legs is stronger than the other, in which case I would start with the weak leg first. So say I find my left leg is weaker and I can only do 9 repetitions on that left leg, then what I'm going to do is do my left leg first, and however many reps I do with my left leg, I'm then going to match that with my right leg. So now we're starting to balance things out. But 3 sets, 10 to 15 reps, 4 seconds down, 1 second up. That's going to be exercise 1. For exercise 2, we're going to be doing a bent leg calf raise. So for the bent leg calf raise, we're going to lift our heel up a little bit. We're then going to bend our knee. So in this position, my ankle is tight. I've got tension in this area here. So in the soleus, we're focusing on the bottom part of the calf, the soleus, more than the top part, because again, most of the time on court, our legs are going to be bent. So this is where we need the strength to transfer into the ground. And then in terms of the speed and the reps and everything else, it's going to be exactly the same. So I'm going to push up quickly, lower down for 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice my heel hasn't touched the ground. Push up, lower down for 1, 2, 3, 4. Push up, 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you do this, you're going to try and keep your pelvis in neutral, because what can happen as you push up, you can start to cheat and kind of do different things with the pelvis. So we want the spine staying nice and tall, and then just the pelvis staying in neutral. So all the work is getting done by this lower leg. And then everything else I've just said applies. Start with around 10 reps per set. Start on the weaker side, whatever side that is, just match that number of reps on the other side, rest for 60 seconds and repeat. And again, once you can do 3 sets of 15 reps on either side, definitely time to start adding a little bit of extra weight. But by working on those 2 drills as a little program, even just twice a week over a period of 8 to 12 weeks, can make a real difference and help your footwork to suck dramatically less. The third reason your footwork probably sucks is that you're not very good at reading and predicting where the ball is going. Now, obviously you've got to practice the footwork patterns, but even once you know how to use the footwork patterns, the visual side of things is huge. If you're not reacting quickly enough and you're not reading where the ball's going quickly enough, it's really hard to use the appropriate movement and set up the right position from the ball. And unfortunately, a lot of players' visual systems just aren't capable of predicting and reading the ball at the sort of level required to play tennis in the way that they want. So you might need to do a little bit of work to train your visual system to bring it up to a sufficient level. I've got a number of different videos on my YouTube channel to help you with that. I'll place a link to a couple of videos down in the description. One of them is going to show you some cool assessments that you can do to figure out if there's maybe some issues going on, and the other one's just going to show you some training drills that you can start to use to work on improving your visual system function. But that's going to be a really big piece of the puzzle in terms of having better quality footwork. The fourth reason that your footwork potentially sucks is that you don't have sufficient coordination in order to be able to use good quality footwork, because obviously you want to practice and work on these footwork patterns, but a lot of players really struggle to use them even when you break them down into simple steps, plain and simply because their coordination isn't good enough. Just like players can struggle to use high-level technique because their coordination isn't good enough. And when you start to do coordination assessments on players, a lot of players have upper body coordination deficits, but even more players have lower body coordination deficits because we spend more time doing stuff with our hands on a day-to-day basis, far less time doing coordinated stuff with our lower body. So it's something I commonly find, and often to help players improve their footwork and their overall tennis, they need to improve their coordination. And if you would like help with that side of things, I don't currently have any videos on YouTube to help you with it, but I have created a full training to teach you about how you can use brain-based training to improve your coordination, to improve all aspects of tennis vision, and to improve things like mental toughness as well. I'll place a link up there, and I'll place a link down in the description so that you can check that out if you're interested. So in the description there is a few different resources. There's the free footwork program, there's some vision assessments and training drills that you can start to work on, and now we've also got this other brain-based training if you want to check it out. Okay, I hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope you're going to put these resources to good use, because even if you only just do a little bit of footwork programming, that's going to make a big difference to your ability to hit higher level strokes and your overall game. Okay, I'll catch you next time.